Drafting can be a great way to ruin a perfectly good open water swim. Um, I say that a little bit tongue in cheek. I've used it to great effect in the past to help me find some faster feet to make swim a little bit easier. I've actually enjoyed. There's a particularly fond race in where we swim from Dharma, a little village outside of Bruges, and we swim in a perfectly straight canal all the way back to the beautiful medieval town of Bruges. And, get into a pack, sharing the lead, revolve it almost like being in a peloton, being on a bike in a peloton. And I've had some really fun races where that has unfolded and it's been helpful. But it's a very difficult skill set, even for really, really good swimmers to get right. The amount of times I've heard people say, I found some good feet to follow, nice and straight, and my time was really slow. Once you get close to someone, it is very difficult to gauge your pace. Are they dragging you at a pace that is suitable to you, that is helpful to you, that you're comfortable with being in that proximity? I would say that, if you are an open water swimmer, getting prepared for at frequent times, you will need to be comfortable being in close proximity to people. And we practice that on our open water swim camps. We practice that in the luxury of a large pool with lane ropes out. We make relays in the forms of triangles, in the forms of circles, and we get close to swimming. And I often sell this as, hey, it's a great thing that can help if it goes well. It can be a dreadful thing when someone's bumping you, kicking you, exiting their hand wide and bumping you. So, and what really piqued my interest in digging through some stats and some figures was the Olympic open water, where, depending on the commentator, depending on the channel, there were people sort of citing studies and making comments that sitting up on the hip was the most advantageous position, sitting on the feet was the most advantageous position. And I did a little bit of filming at our lake not so long ago and showing the different positions. The common thing is you've really got to, we know it works. We know it works from years of being a pool swimmer, 5 second gaps, sitting in at second and third position on long sets. You know that back in the pack, in the chain gang, you can save an awful lot of energy. Whereas leading, you just get, you're working harder, you can feel it. So we know it works. We know you've got to get close. There are advantages to both, and in the corresponding article, I delve into what they are. And swimming on someone's feet, according to one study, is the best, and you'll get the most draft, the most effect. Sitting up on a hip, you will get the most drafting, you will get the best effect. It's really interesting. There's a lot of points I would have liked both of the authors to go into as to how the studies were conducted. I think that's a common thing, isn't it, amongst most studies? And it is because of water and recording methods. It is a very tricky medium to get your head around and get decent data from. It is not easy at all. So this is one thing you've got to practice and perform and work out what's going to work for you, really. If you're on someone's feet, you've got complications. If you're on their hip, there's complications. There's advantages to both.